What's going on, guys? Coach Bronson here. I'm going to give you an update on my experiment, the testing the protocols to try to build muscle while maintaining my body fat mass. It's going well, but I'm so busy that this will probably be my last update for a while. If you've been following along with my No Carb Athlete posts, you've noticed that the gap in between my updates has slowly increased in frequency, or decreased in frequency and in quantity. So this will be my last update. I'm this close from reaching the goal. Let's see how things are going and what I've done. We'll do a recap of the last several months of this progress. All right, so let's get into it. This started in May of this year. So we're looking at May, June, July, August, September, the middle of October. So 6 months or so of doing this, trying to build muscle without gaining fat. The whole idea, the concept of this whole thing was I finished up doing my protocol with Rob Sykes, got super lean, got to about 10% body fat, had some good amount of good muscle, learned some things about the experience of following a higher fat, lower protein protocol for body composition, management, and getting lean. Things that I learned that were interesting, things that I learned about the process that I didn't like. Some of the key points were I felt like it was harder because I was dealing with hunger a lot more. That was probably the biggest thing is having to control and use a lot of willpower to not overeat based on that protocol. I feel with doing it with my protocol, doing it the way that I do it with higher protein and less of a drastic cut in the amount of fat than I've done in the past. That was one of the things that I learned using Rob's protocol is that you don't have to cut the fat super low. We'll talk about that in a second. So doing it this way. So for the last 6 months, I've not been hungry. I've been able to pretty much eat as much as I feel like I need to. Yeah, there's been a couple of days where I like, you know what, I could eat more. And many times if I felt that way, I just ate more. Focusing on the protein, if some fat came with it, that's great. There have actually been several days because of the past month, particularly, I've increased my activity a lot. I went from just doing 4 or 5 days, sometimes 6 days of weight training to 3 days of BJJ and 2 days of weight training. So I'm getting 5 days a week in consistently at a much higher level of intensity than I'm used to doing. So I've actually been able to increase the amount of fat that I'm eating, which is helping me even more feel full and satiated and not feel hungry. So it's been really cool to go through this process, and I'm still losing. I've actually, because my activities increased, I'm losing more fat, but not losing muscle. That's the cool thing. So let's talk about where we started and where I finished. Okay, so we're calling this a finish. I'm at 97 pounds of skeletal muscle mass. The goal was 100. I'm only 3 pounds away. Okay, I've gained 6 pounds of muscle, guys. 6 pounds of muscle. That's about a pound a month over the past 6 months. Started at 91. I'm at 97 now. Okay, that's freaking crazy. And I've lost body fat, not percentage, actual body fat mass. The amount of fat on my body in pounds has gone the opposite direction. So I've gained muscle and lost actual fat. Not just changing the ratio by gaining muscle and maintaining my fat. That's not just changing the ratio, which would improve my body fat percentage, but I've actually lost body fat pounds. So let's talk about that. My overall weight, I'm going to look at this on my phone while I talk. My overall weight, let's see. Well, let's talk about weight. 178.6. Okay, 6 months ago. I weighed in today at 185. So I put on 8 pounds. Okay, 6 pounds. 6.5 pounds. I put on 6 pounds, which kind of, remember that number. My total weight has changed by 6 pounds. 6.5 pounds technically. Okay. My skeletal muscle mass, 91.1. Okay, and sorry, I said 97, 96.1. So 5 pounds of skeletal muscle mass. Okay. 19 pounds of body fat in May. Today, 17.2. So I've lost almost 2 pounds of fat in 6 months while gaining 5 pounds of muscle. My BMI has actually gone up. How crazy is that? My BMI went from 24.2 to 25. I gained a point of BMI by losing fat. How ridiculous is that? Okay. That's because my weight went up. Okay, because I gained muscle, I gained weight. It's crazy. My body fat percentage went from 10.6 to 9.3. So these are the numbers, guys. I lost almost a 1.5% body fat. I lost almost 2 pounds of fat in pounds. I gained 5 pounds of muscle, 6 pounds of total weight, and my BMR went from 1934 to 2014. So here's the deal. I have increased my lean mass and lost fat. Lost fat, my BMR went up. Okay, remember your BMR. I don't like to look at BMR as just how many calories you burn. I like to look at it as metabolic function and how efficient your metabolism is. And when you have more muscle, you're more efficient with your metabolism. Your BMR should go up. And that's exactly what we see here. So I think it's a smashing success. You tell me what you think. 5 pounds of muscle gained in 6 months and 2 pounds of fat lost in that same 6 months. Okay. Now, how did I do that? We played around. If you look at some of my other videos, we played around with trying to find a good amount of protein where I felt like I was getting enough protein in to fuel my exercise, fuel my activity, fuel my muscle growth. We went from, I forget where we started, I forget where I started at, probably 180, 175, 180, something like that. And then we're up to about 200 is the goal right now. So I'm doing about 200 grams of protein a day. I feel like it's perfect. I'm seeing growth. I'm seeing the incremental growth in muscle mass every time I get on the scale. My body fat or my fat intake has been anywhere from 175, 185 down to 135. Right now, I'm in the 155, 165 range. Again, because my activity has gone up a lot, I've been able to add back a little bit more fat to kind of fuel that activity without having to worry about whether I'm gaining. Okay, because again, fuel calories, you can burn those off. If you're more active, you can take in more fuel and you're going to burn it off. As long as you burn off enough of what you eat so that you start still maintaining and pulling from your body at some point. Okay, it's just a matter of intake. Okay, so in that perspective, and this is where things can get confusing, fuel calories in, calories out does make a difference. If you're active, you can eat more fuel. It's that simple. Okay, if you're active, you need to eat more protein. Okay, now, if I wanted to not change, here's the thing. If I wanted to not change my fuel intake, but still increase my activity, I probably would have seen a faster or a more dramatic decrease in my body fat. Okay, because I'm not providing that extra fuel. So if I kept, so like right now I'm about 155, 160 in my fat grams per day. If I kept that around 135, or even dropped it to say 125, then I will probably see a much more dramatic. I'd probably in just a couple of weeks, I'd probably go from 9% body fat to 8 or 7% body fat. It would be quick because the level of activity that I'm doing would really burn off the fat on my body because I'm not taking enough in to kind of replenish it. So something to think about there, but you don't have to do that. If you're not trying to lose fat crazily, then there's no need to drop it that fast, because here's the side effect of that is you're then hungrier more. Fat helps with satiation. There's some things we're learning, which you'll see in some other of my content in other spots, where fat actually may play a bigger role in satiation than we originally thought. It's always been said, and we talk about it all the time, that protein is more satiating. That may be wrong. Gotta love new information, gotta love learning, gotta love the discovery of science, but protein may not be as satiating as we thought. It may be much more tied to fat than we thought. And if you're cutting your fat too low, you may be forcing the protein, which could be causing some other problems. That's a whole different talk for another day, which will be coming because I got some content coming out that may blow your mind. Okay. So just in summary, guys, this stuff works. Okay. Prioritize protein, fuel your body to the point where you need the fuel, where you have the fuel that you need, but you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to focus on fat at the expense of protein. That's where you make the mistake. Anytime you go to the extreme, so much protein that you're not getting enough fat, so much fat that you're not getting enough protein, that's where you're going to mess things up and come into problems and make things really hard. Okay, harder on yourself than it needs to be. Find out how much protein you need in order to build and repair and recover and feel good on a regular basis, and then find out how much fat you need where you have the energy to do what you need to do and you're not losing fat too fast, right? I don't want you to be at 15% body fat and then wake up in a couple weeks and be at 8% body fat. Like that's overstated, but it doesn't need to be that drastic. If you're deciding that you want to lose body fat, if you lose a couple percent a week, that's great, right? If your energy threshold, right, if your maximum energy threshold is 125 grams of fat a day, you don't need to go to 80 grams of fat. Go to 120, go to 115, go to 110 maybe, right? 10 grams, 15-gram difference is your adjustment. As long as you're under the number, you will always tap into your body. That's all we're looking for. It doesn't have to be drastic, okay? And then the same on protein. If you realize, hey, I feel great at 150 grams of protein, then, maybe 150, 155, 160 is where I want to stay so that I can make sure that I'm seeing growth and seeing improvement and feel good. But you don't need to be at 200 or 225. That's excess. You want to find where those thresholds are and try to stay in those thresholds and keep those things as what our body needs, not just overdoing it. Anytime we overdo it or underdo it, we have problems, right? So the process works. Animal meat, nutrient density, get the sleep that you need, things that we've learned along the way. Sleep matters, electrolytes matter, getting the protein that your body needs matter, okay? The way that I've worked out has changed. I went from traditional bodybuilding where I did a bunch of things, right? So we did the bodybuilding, we did some powerlifting, we did a bunch of things. I've seen the most growth over the past month changing to a little bit more of combination of power building and throwing in some high intensity training concepts of max effort, single set to maximum failure. I've been throwing a lot more maximum mechanical failure, muscle failure into my routine. And I've actually built a routine. You can actually go to my website and purchase the 12-week or 8-week, I forget which one it is. There's a complimentary strength program. It's 2 days a week. It's highly focused, maximum effort. You're going to do a lot of max rep sets, as many reps as you possibly can so your muscles won't work again. I've seen a lot of benefit from doing that. That's kind of in summary, without getting too long, that's kind of the basis of what high intensity training is all about, is working to muscle failure. So I've been throwing some stuff there and I've been really happy with the results from that. So take a look at that if you're interested in something that you can maybe throw in, add to what you're already doing. So that's it, guys. I don't even know what week this is. I have to look and see what week update it is, but this will be the last update for a while. I'm 4 pounds away from my goal of 100 pounds of skeletal muscle mass. When I get that, I'll probably do another update just to announce it. It might not be a whole video. It might just be a post on social media, but keep an eye out for that because I fully expect that to happen sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching, and we'll try something else. We'll come up with another experiment to do sometime, and we'll talk about that. See ya.